I set my entire note up that so that I don't forget things because there are so many possibilities out there. Many people, as they listen to this, are going to feel some overwhelmed, but let's simplify it. Like, let's start with, do you live in a place that is safe? And the checks that I'm going to tell people to do is your air safe? Have we appropriately tested for mold? And that's a podcast in itself. But that little air sample machine that you put in the middle of your floor when you're buying a new house, not good enough. We need to get dust samples. We need to understand what a building biologist is to make sure we're safe. And we can go down that rabbit hole. Then have you checked for radon? And then is there anything else air wise that would be really unusual? Like, do you live downstream from like a pig farm or a chicken farmer? Is there a massive fire in California going on where you're breathing bad air? Like, is your air
Right.
safe? What about your water? So we'll go down that rabbit hole too. But just for everybody listening, he kind of hinted at it. Water is something that's basic and needed for every cell of your body. It's some people say it's 60, 70% of your body. We need the water that we're bringing in to be clean. Tap water absolutely is not clean. 170 million Americans are drinking radioactive water. That does not include heavy metals and plastics
What?
and medications and every other possible thing that can be in that. And your refrigerator filter doesn't do squat for it. Your handheld little thing that you put in the fridge and pull out of the fridge type of filter, not good enough. Most of your carbon and ionic filters, I don't think are good enough. They're all better than tap, but none of them are enough for me. So, like, are you drinking clean water? And we go through that.
When you say radioactive, what do you? I hate that we have to talk about radioactive tap water in the United States of America. But what do you mean by radioactive tap water?
Yeah. So I'll just requote that 170 million Americans drinking radioactive water. I actually saw that on a Yahoo article. I was like, wait a minute, what? So then I go to the EPA database sourced by EWG, which is Environmental Workers Group, and you look up a water supply. So look up Houston or California's water supply, like all over the place, LA. Go to Miami and just go, what is in the tap water? You're going to see uranium in a lot of them. Phoenix, Arizona. You're going to see radium and some others, thallium and cesium. Like, those are really common ones. And they're in major municipal water supplies that people are drinking. And they're like, well, it's at a low level. Okay, well, low level radiation through a gallon a day for 30 years does what? Well, I can test
No
your
one
hair.
knows. They haven't done any studies on that.
They haven't ish, but I can test your hair and I can find out that it accumulates in your body because your body can't remove it well. So then on a hair test where there's a reference range where you can be like at a low amount of it, but you're way off the page, I'm going, that's probably not going to be okay for you. So we got to do something about it. And I can tell you, I have people that live in homes with radon, which has been greatly studied. There's good testing for basements, and radon, radium, uranium, they all kind of test similar with some of the hair testing. And I can see radon elevate somebody's levels much less than uranium and radium in tap water. And then when I go test their radon in their basement, because we have so many studies for it, if you have a 3 in your basement with radon, it's the equivalent of smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day.
Oh my God.
I'll get people a 10. So is that 10 pack or like 3, 4 packs a day? So if a 10 moves you to, on my scale, like halfway up that radiation scale on the hair test, that's a 10 radium, which is like packs of cigarettes a day. But drinking it puts you off the top of the chart. What is that doing to you?
Oh my God. This is depressing. It's like, so I jokingly said, like, everything's making us sick. Everything seems to be hurting our immune systems, making us vulnerable to obviously things like Lyme disease and other autoimmune stuff going on in our bodies. But then you get sick. I'm actually just getting over influenza A. So I got sick last week. And by the way, I don't get sick very often. I'm pretty avoidant of any kind of flu. I think this is the first time I've ever had the flu. But I think to myself, I'm like, wow, I'm like actually immune system's weak right now. I should probably be careful with some of the stuff that I'm doing and not doing and stuff like that. But like, then you think about this, it's like the water we drink in the United States has all sorts of chemicals. It's radioactive, I guess now. And the pharmaceuticals and everything. And they're like, what do we do? It's water. I know here in Chicago, we have lead in the water too. That was reported maybe 2 years ago. So like, what can we do as individuals? Because I don't think we're going to necessarily replace every water pipe and put a new filtration system in every city in the country, at least in the way we are right now. Like, what can we do?
Yeah, I mean, you go down that list of what I was talking about, right? So you go down and you start off with air, and then you can go to water. The way that I do it is, if you have radioactive water, there's one option. You need a distiller. That's a type of filtration. That is not a name of a product. It's a type of filtration. If you don't have radioactive water, then reverse osmosis. And that's a different type. And that's what you got to do. You've got to choose the right one for you. And then you have to make a decision to put that in your home, and that's going to clean your water. And then you have to make a list of the other things that affect you in your environment. Hygiene products, your food that's coming in. Do you have, and it's not necessarily environment, external, but internal. Do you have toxic things in your body, such as dental issues, such as mercury amalgams? Do we have root canals or some sort of implant in your body? Right?
I heard you talk about root canals on another show, and I was like, oh God, the dental community.
Hey,
but
they're learning slowly. They're learning though. There are shifts, major shifts away from mercury amalgams and new docs, but we got to get all the old guys to retire first before that's really going to make a true long-term shift. And as we're talking, I'm going to be that guy. I looked up Chicago water. I'm going to be the guy. Here we go. Chicago water, so we can make this personal, has 13 times the safe level based off of EWG's studies, radium. So therefore, no one should drink water from the tap in Chicago without distilling it, based on my opinion.
Well, what's your recommended distiller? I think we'll throw a link to that down in the chat, because I've been using a Berkey filter for 12, 13 years at this point. And I've just recently, I know they got in some trouble, but it's like very confusing to go through that. But that's a filtration system. It's not distilling. It's not reverse osmosis. So I'm still drinking bad Chicago water, even though I think I'm invested in good, clean filtration. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I don't want perfection from people. I don't need perfection from people. What I need is better than you were yesterday. And we're going to see progress. You don't have to be 100%. I'm sure as heck not. I love a cheeseburger every once in a while. I go out with friends and go to Chiefs games, and I was drinking some stuff that I definitely wouldn't tell clients to drink. I needed some hot chocolate. It was like 0 degrees and my hands were freezing. My body was freezing. And I'm like, hot chocolate sounds great. It's not good for me. My blood sugar is going to spike. But in the moment, it felt great. And I was like, okay, so it's not about perfection. It's about figuring out what is going to allow your body to be able to operate well and have ability to adapt to the stresses that you come in contact with, whether that be all the sugar that was in that hot chocolate that tasted so good but was not good for me, or your job or your life or influenza A. Your body should be able to adapt and beat it. And we just need to make sure that your bucket isn't overflowing with too much stress, which is all the things I've been talking about. And one of the easy ways to do that is what I've talked about so far, which is just simply doing the environmental stuff.
Thank you for listening to this clip from the full episode of Eyes Wide Open. Please like and subscribe for daily clips and new episodes that drop every Tuesday. I appreciate you.